they have to deal with this problem.
Right, right. So people can die going to the summit for sure.
Yeah.
But before you read the story, you didn't know if these people were going to survive or not.
Yeah.
Could somebody read maybe up to the first three blanks on that? Let's see, Nathir, I know you have to go soon, so I'll let you read in the
in the summer of 2011, a team of I forget what I write.
That's okay.
Of a team of a climber attempt to climb K2 or mountaineers. I forgot climber or mountaineers.
Both are good. Both are good. Yep.
Yeah, attempted to climb K2.
Yeah.
The entire team consisted of 6 climbers.
Yeah.
Including one woman, Geraldine Kaltenbronner.
Mm-hmm.
First, they set up a number of
camps,
ropes along ridge on the north side of mountain. Then they began their ascent.
What did you say? A number of what?
Number of ropes.
Yeah, but I think there's a better answer.
Camps,
because they had to actually set up the whole camp. They set the tent and ropes. But I mean, a number of ropes, a number of camps. I think.
I forgot what I wrote really. Tent or I'm sorry for
You're doing
that.
great.
My memory is zero.
You remembered a lot. Not zero.
Yeah.
Great. So they set up a number of camps or a number of ropes. Yes. Keep reading. Rasha, can you keep reading?
Yeah. The climb soon became dangerous, and 2 climbers eventually decided to turn back, including Gerald's husband.
Yes.
Yeah.
After a few days, the weather improved, allowing the climbers to reach an altitude known as the Camp 5
zone.
Yeah, so now that's right. That was, you had written that in your answer, but the altitude wasn't known as Camp 4. The altitude is the level or the height. There's a special name for that. Nathir, what is it? What did you say, Nathir? The death
zone.
Yeah. So when you get to that certain height, when the oxygen is very low, they call that altitude the death zone. So that's a better answer. Okay, and then Sahar, can you finish? They
pushed on and finally reached the summit. Grundy became the first woman to climb all the world's highest peaks without using extra oxygen.
No.
Right.
Extra risks.
Extra risk?
I think it's risk. I bring it from the text. I'm not sure. I want to know what is it really.
Is it from? It's from the page 1.
Yeah, extra oxygen is the right word because you can't say extra risk. I mean, she did have a lot of risk, right? So, in fact, it wouldn't make sense. And we can't use the word extra with risk. So oxygen is the right answer. It said that somewhere on the first page, you're right.
Yeah, it's the second paragraph.
Paragraph B, yeah. In fact, she was going to be the first woman to climb all of the world's tallest peaks without extra oxygen. And it said supplemental. Supplemental means extra, supplementing what she already had.
Second.
Yeah.
Extra.
Yeah, it means extra.
Yep. So they used a different word to paraphrase the summary. So you notice how this is a nice summary. We didn't really get to talk about summaries this semester much, but a summary is when you do something that's, you write something in, what should I say? You write the important information that happened in the story or the article in a shorter
In a short
space.
paragraph.
So you notice this article had a lot of paragraphs, all the way up to W. I don't know how many paragraphs that is, but 20 something paragraphs. So they had to really shorten it into one paragraph to make the summary. Do you think that there's anything else that this summary should include that they didn't include in this summary? I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's
So the people who were turning back, who was in the group. Notice it doesn't tell you, each day, this day they did this, the next day they did this, the next day they did this, and it doesn't tell you all the details of every day's activities, but it just tells the main story. I think most of you know how to, well, at least you know how to read and recognize a summary. Writing them is maybe a bit harder, but you'll do that in your next reading class. I think 082, you work a lot on summaries and paraphrasing. So I'll leave that to that teacher to help you with. So let's see, let's continue on. And since we have such a smaller number of people today, we'll just do all this together rather than put you in different groups. How did the climbers respond to fear? That's kind of an interesting question because they were different. So there are 4 of them are correct here and 2 of them are not. Geraldine and Ralph reacted differently to their fears. Was that true? Sahar, was that true?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, and just tell me the ones that you thought were true. Go ahead and tell me the other 3.
The first one and the
Third one.
third one.
Can you read them for me?
Fourth and the last one.
Oh.
Just so
Ralph felt fear instinctively and knew he should return to base camp.
Right. Base camp is the bottom one, the one at the bottom. Yep.
Greenland ignored her fear and focused on climb.
Right. Yes.
Greenland was prepared to take risks that Ralph would not.
Yes. Right. Now, did Ralph encourage his wife to continue?
No, he was afraid to lose his wife.
Yeah, exactly. So he was not only afraid for himself, but he was also afraid for his wife. And I think as we read this, we'll see that he begged her to turn around. And when you beg, you say, please, please, please don't do this. I'm really worried about you. Which was an interesting point. I guess, did we lose Nathir? I think he had to go to work. I was going to say, too bad he's not here. I was going to ask him if he would allow, I thought it was they had an interesting relationship between the husband and wife, where the husband was afraid. And well, what did they agree on before this climb even began? I'll ask you that question.
Like they will.
Go ahead, Sahar. What did they agree on?
They made an agreement that they will not say no if he want to go and finish, he can do what he wants. He's not gonna be in her way. He's not gonna stop.
He's not gonna stop her. Yes, and same thing, vice versa. She's not gonna stop him, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I just thought that was kind of an interesting way that they did that, because another couple might decide if one person thinks that we should stop, then they both stop together. That could be a different agreement, right?
Yeah.
Probably with my husband, that's probably what it would be. If I felt scared, he would stop with me, and if he felt scared, I would stop with him. But this couple decided that they would let each other continue. It's just a different way of doing it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, what do you think, Ariane, and with you and your husband? Do you think you would agree to stop with each other or let the other person continue in something like, you know, expedition? I'm going to ask everybody since we're all
I
married.
didn't hear the
Curious.
question.
What?
I didn't hear it.
Ariane, can you hear us? I'm not sure.
The sound is not good.
Yeah.
You are
Oh.
talking like a robot.
Oh no. Okay. I'm gonna move then. You should have told me. Hold on. I'm gonna move to the other area. It might be better area. Okay. I would go outside, but probably not good. Okay, I'm gonna go over here. I'll come back. This might be better. I also might need to, can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also going to change gonna go on, no, okay. Well, you tell, okay. I'm changing my router because I think this might be better. They were telling me they couldn't hear me very well. Okay, can you hear me better now?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. You should have told me before. I was comfortable in that other chair and I wanted to stay there, but it's obviously not a good area. Yeah. Okay, so my question was, if you were on an expedition with your husband, do you think you would be more likely to make an agreement that the other person can continue, or would you agree to stop with the person that was scared?
No,
I
to
agree.
It depends
continue.
what kind of expedition.
Well, like in this type of expedition. Actually, my husband and I were climbing a small mountain. It was a volcano, and he was feeling very sick, like altitude sickness. And so we had to decide if we were going to
Yeah.
stop and go back, or if I was going to continue, or if he was going to, or if I
I
was
would
going
stop. I
to stop
think
with
I
him.
would stop.
Anyways,
What did you
it's
say,
scary
Sahar?
to continue by yourself.
Say that again, Rasha.
It's scary to continue by yourself.
Oh, yeah, right. But I mean, with other people, there may be other people there.
No, I think I would stop.
Yeah. Okay.
For sure, I'll return.
All right, good. Yeah. Now, so interesting. Notice this part of the homework. It says that you're going to put these in time order, not necessarily in the order it appears in the text. So usually my students make a mistake on this. So I'm going to give you I'll tell you, I think most of you did the homework already. Which one of these did you put for the first one that happens in time order?
The team
They
starts
said
the no. The
They said the
team
camp.
began setting
Began
up
setting up
camps
camp.
along the
Everybody is
road.
answering. Okay, hold on. Sahar, what did you put for the first one? And then I'll ask Rasha and then Leslie.
The team began setting up camps along the road.
No, that's what comes first in the text. But there's something else that came first in time before this trip even began. Did anybody? Leslie?
The team began setting up camps along the road.
I
Nope.
said,
There's something else that happened before that. Before they
They
even.
get to camp.
Nope.
Ralph and Jordan make the agreement.
That's number
Exactly.
2.
Ralph and Gerlinde originally made an agreement not to stop each other if one wanted to quit. Remember, they did that months
vice versa.
before, right? So in the text, I just want to show you. I'm going to stop this share, and because most people get this wrong. So I want to show you what I'm talking about. Now you can see the text, right?
Yeah.
Good. So if you look in, no, I think it was before that. Yeah. If you look on, you may need to change your picture so your faces are over. Okay. If you look here in paragraph E, can everybody see paragraph E?
Yeah.
Actually, I'll move it like this. We'll do it like this. If you look in paragraph E, it said on their first climb together, Gerlinde and Ralph had made an agreement. Neither would stand on the other one's way if one wanted to continue and the other did not. So this happened before the current climb in the summer of 2011, right? We don't know when they made this decision. It was sometime in the past on their first climb together. So that is actually the thing that happened first chronologically. Chronologically means in the order of time, not in the order of this text. Does everybody see that?
Yeah. I
Mm.
saw on the order of the paragraph.
Most
Yeah, me
everything
too.
else is in time order. Most everything else in the text is in the same order. But I just wanted you to notice that because this is past perfect here, had made an agreement. They made the agreement, well, it's actually past, sorry. Or had made, yeah, that's past perfect. They had made it before this expedition. So that really should be number one. And then number two is, I can't remember what was
The
number
team
two.
began setting up
Setting
camps
up camps.
along the roads.
Yeah, they're setting up the camps starting on July 5th. So they were just preparing there. And then the next one should be they started the climb to the summit. And that would be on August 16th. And then I think most everybody is able to get the rest of them in the correct order because you just follow the text. But the first one was the tricky one. So I wanted to point that out. Let's see, what do we have? We have about 20 minutes. So I think I would like to give you guys some time just to, we'll read through this. And if you have questions about some vocabulary or grammar or the meaning, and you get just some practice reading, I'm going to give that time to you now. So I'm just going to ask, let's see, do we have anybody else here with us? Just a minute. Let me make sure my recording is still on because sometimes the recording, okay, it's good. Okay, so most of these paragraphs are pretty short. Maybe I'll take B, but somebody else could start us with A, and we'll talk about if there's anything on each one. So, Ariane, can you start with reading paragraph A?
Yes. During the summer of 2011, a team of climbers attempted to climb the world's second highest peak, K2. Their goal was to climb the north ridge of the Chinese side of the mountain without bottled oxygen or high altitude porters.
And porters, that comes from the French word porter, which means to carry, right?
Porter.
So those are people that carry your stuff. So a lot of times when people climb Mount Everest, they hire porters who carry their backpack and carry their gear. And obviously it's much easier that way. So these people are doing it without the help of porters or extra oxygen. Yes. I'll read B. The team included 2 Kazakh climbers, an Argentinian photographer, and a videographer from Poland. All 4 had attempted K2 climbs before, but none had yet reached the peak. The 5th member, Gerlinde Kaltenbrunner, was a 40-year-old former nurse from Austria. If she succeeded, she would be the first woman in history to climb all of the world's tallest peaks without supplemental oxygen. Geraldine, oh, it's not Geraldine, it's Gerlinde. I guess is how you say it. Gerlinde was leading the expedition with her husband, Ralph Dujmovic. I don't know how to say that name. 49, who had previously reached the summit of K2 from the Pakistani side. So, how many of them had actually tried climbing K2 before? Out of the 5, out of the 6, how many had tried climbing this peak?
Oh,
Four.
one.
Four.
Actually,
Four.
5, right? Because the 4 and then also Ralph had tried climbing it and succeeded. He reached the summit before. So Gerlinde was the only one who had never been on this particular mountain. The others had either tried or succeeded in reaching the top. So I think that's kind of an important point, that her husband actually had previously reached the summit. So he did it before. That may have influenced his decision to turn around, right? Okay, C. Sahar, can you read paragraph C?
Yeah. Starting on July 5, the 6 campers established a series of camps connected by thousands of feet of rope. These would give the expedition members places to rest during their ascent. To establish the road, they had to cope with the vertical rock walls, avalanche, and slopes covered in chest-deep snow.
Good. Yes, you corrected yourself. Any questions about that paragraph? I think maybe the answer to the question on the summary, they were connected by ropes.
Yeah,
Nathir said that was a good answer as well. Connected by camps, connected by ropes. Yep. All right, good. How about Rasha, paragraph D?
On August 16th, the team started the actual climb to the summit. 2 days later, at around 6:30 a.m., Ralph stopped. The snow conditions were becoming dangerous, and he could no longer ignore his gut instinct. Gerland, I am going back, he said.
Okay, so gut instinct, it tells you down there what that means, but do you remember we had that word gut before, when you have a feeling in your gut? It was when we were talking about the immigration, Ellis Island, I think. So what do you think is a gut instinct? Where is your gut? Do you remember, Rasha?
In your tummy or something like that?
Yeah, in your stomach. And you have a gut instinct. Now you know the word instinct, something that you don't think about, right? And you just feel it. So when you have a gut instinct, that, as it says, is a feeling you have that you can't explain logically. You just feel this, right? You just have a feeling, it's an instinct, and you have to follow it. It could be bad or it could be good. You might have a gut instinct that this is the man you should marry. You meet him and you're like, oh, I just know this is the man I'm going to marry. That's can be a gut instinct. Or it could be negative, like in this case, where it's something of dangerous and you have a gut instinct that you need to get out. That's a good word. Okay, E. Leslie, can you read E for us? Are you there, Leslie? I don't know if she's there because I can't see her. Leslie? She's not answering. Okay,
Yeah.
Adrian. Oh, you're there. Can you read E for us?
All right. On their first climb together, Gerlinde and Ralph had made an agreement. Neither would stand in the other way if one wanted to continue and the other did not. Geraldine had never been to the top of K2, so she was willing to take a risk that Ralph was not. She coped with fear differently. Not too Ralph liked.
Okay, I'll turn
Uh,
it for you. Here we go. Can you see? Ralph liked.
like how the sensation of fear in his stomach acted as a warning, compelling him to pay attention. Gerlinde dropped the blood or fear with a quiet calm. She kept herself completely focused on the task at hand. She didn't feel scared.
Okay, great. So he liked how the sensation of fear in his stomach acted as a warning, compelling him. Compelling means convincing him to pay attention. Gerlinde strove, that's the past of strive. That means she tried very hard to block out fear. So block out meaning I'm not going to be afraid. I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to be calm. I'm not going to listen to the fear. And so that's how she didn't feel scared. Okay, F for Ariane.
But now Ralph begged his wife to come down with him. Ralph was yelling that the route is very, very avalanche prone. He was shouting desperately, recalled Maxus Zumayev, one of the Kazakh climbers. Gerlinde shouted in return that now is the moment when the fate of the climb will be decided. She was concerned that if they turned around now, they would miss the period of good weather.
Desperately is how you pronounce that word. He was shouting desperately. So what does that mean, desperately?
Desperate.
It's the same word in French, but I can't explain it.
You have the same word in French?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So very strongly, very seriously, he really wanted her to come down, something that he really wanted, using the say, he's begging her, he's shouting desperately, please, please, please come down. It's too dangerous, right? So I'm surprised she decided to keep going, personally.
She's strong.
Yeah, either strong or lucky or stupid. I'm not sure which one. I mean, in this case, she ended up being lucky, right? But I mean, think about it. At the moment, you don't know what's going to happen. If it's it said the route is very, very avalanche prone. That means there could very easily be an avalanche. And he climbed it before. So I mean, if it was me climbing with him, I probably would listen to him because I would think that he had, the previous experience. But as we find out, they ended up surviving. So perhaps she made the right decision. And then he says, I was really afraid I would never see her again. I just feel so bad for this man. Ralph explained later. All right, H. Let's see, whose turn was that? Rasha, can you do H and I? You could do H and I together.
Okay. Gerland watched as Ralph descended into the mist. Then she focused on the desk ahead. It's not that I was indifferent to the risk, she said afterwards, but my gut feeling was good. As Ralph had feared, the snow was becoming loose. Later that day, a small avalanche hit Tommy Herensch, the Argentinian, who was climbing below the others. It knocked him upside down and stuffed his nose and mouth. Only the fixed rope kept him from being swept off the mountain. He eventually dug himself out, but decided that he too would turn back.
Right. So it was quite dangerous, and this man actually almost died from the avalanche. Now, notice when you're when you're talking about a story in the past, because I notice that a lot of my students make this mistake, you have to use all of the verbs in the past, right? So Rasha, I'm going to pick on you for a minute because I just read your homework. And in your homework, there was some things where you were talking about the past, but you use the present. So you want to make sure not only you, but others use the past. So we can see here some verbs, right? Feared, was becoming, that's the past progressive. Hit, note hit is actually the past of hit, right? Hit, hit, hit. It can be the present or the past form. Was climbing, it knocked him. Let's see, kept, right? Kept for keep. Swept is the past of sweep. And dug is the past of what?
Dig.
Dig. Yes. And decided. So I just want to point out to you that when you're telling a story, which you're going to do for your speaking final exam is going to be a speech on Flipgrid, and I'll tell you the topic of it later on Monday when I post that. You'll have to tell a story from your past, and you have to use the past tense. So I just want to remind you to use the past tense when you're telling a story. I think this reading is much too long for us to do it all. What can somebody, let's go ahead and look at the homework. I'm going to stop there with that. Let's just look quickly at one more thing with the homework. We'll go back to that. And so going back here, supplemental, we talked about that word meaning extra. Indifferent, Rasha, you just read that word. It said she wasn't indifferent to the risk. What does that mean, indifferent? She wasn't indifferent to the risk.
The same.
Not feeling concerned.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you say she wasn't indifferent, that's kind of like two negatives, right? And meaning she was concerned. She realized that there was something to worry about, but she continued anyway, right? So if you say, I'm indifferent, somebody says, would you like to go out to eat or eat at home tonight? You say, I'm indifferent. That means I don't care. We can do this one or we can do this one. But in her case, in this sentence, it was that she wasn't indifferent, meaning that she did care. She had feelings about it, but she still chose to take the risk. Okay, and if we kept reading, we'd see that later on in a couple days, the group members were crammed in a tent. What do you think that means? They were crammed. Let's see if I can find it on my thing here.
Put in with too many other people or things.
Yeah.
In ST.
What paragraph was that? J. Okay.
Yeah, J.
The team spent a miserable night crammed into a two-person tent. So at this point, there's four of them, right? Because the husband, Ralph, went back, and then the other guy, Tommy, went back. So there's four of them crammed in a two-person tent. They were very tightly packed. Uncomfortable, probably.
Yeah.
Plunged, that was paragraph K. Below them, a terrifying void plunged nearly 2 miles to the glacier below. So when you plunge, what do you do? Or what does it do?
Slope down.
Yeah.
Word that is
Sleep
angle.
Exactly. So it plunges down. It's going down very steeply. Yes. And then paragraph U said she took the final steps to the apex, reaching the summit at 6:18. So apex is the
top.
The top or the summit. It's the same word. Peak, summit, apex, the top. Yeah. And then we had some nice figurative language. The weather was like a gift. I think you guys can understand that. I liked this one that said, the figures were no bigger than commas on a piece of paper. So he's making a comparison, right? So if you look here at a comma, it's so small, and that's how he saw them so far away.
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting simile. We call that a simile when you're comparing two things. Mountains that had stolen the lives of friends. That's using personification, where mountains, it's almost like the mountains are alive, like they're people, because only people can steal, right? Of course, the mountains have no brain, but he is describing the mountains as if they're a person taking the lives of her friends, or stealing the lives of her friends, meaning that some of them died on the mountain. So you will, if you haven't done it yet, you'll do your homework and give that to me, submit that. And then I think we've run out of time, but you can see my, let me go over to, let me show you my stuff that I put for you on our course. Here we are. Let me go back to share that. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so for Friday, May 1st, I put the reading vocabulary study document. So you'll find all the vocabulary from reading 1 and reading 2. I put the definition and an example in the other forms there. So to help you review for the vocabulary, review and learn the vocabulary, you can look right here. And then you submit your homework from Deadly Summit, and then you'll start and complete your homework for Breath of Life. If you can do that before Wednesday, that'd be great, because we'll talk about it on Wednesday. And then here I have there's 5 short little summaries of people who survived impossible circumstances. Did anybody look at those yet?
No.
Not yet. Okay, so those are pretty interesting, and I want you to choose one of them to read or watch a video more about. You'll have to Google him or her, and then I think they're just interesting, fascinating stories, and you can tell about that on your questionnaire when I put that up. And then here is a video about how to survive and thrive in the quarantine that my friend made, and he gives you 10 ideas of things you can do. Now, he made this at the beginning of the quarantine, and maybe you've done some of these, and I want you to tell me about one that you've done and one that you would like to try, since we have 3 more weeks, according to our governor, of this quarantine. So I think you'll find that interesting. And then you can do the questionnaire, which I will put up soon, and then the quiz, which I will also put up soon. Here is the final exam information. You can read this, and it will tell you about your vocabulary, listening, reading, and speaking, which will be available on Monday, next Monday, May 4th at 7 a.m.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Are the vocabs from the 4 units like the listening and the reading also?
Yep, all of them. All of those vocabulary from 1, 3, 6, and 10. Some of them are the same. There's a lot of overlap, and many of them you knew before. So, but yes, you have to study all of them, and there'll be like 50 questions. Yeah, I believe there's 50 questions on it. All multiple choice, matching, true and false, just like you did on the last unit tests. So everything will be on the computer with true and false, not true and false, with you know, multiple choice, true and false, or matching questions for the listening and the reading. And then the speaking is something you'll talk about from your life, which I will tell you about. I'll post it up here on Monday, and you just do it on the flip grid like you did before, but you don't have to research anything. And then, so you can do them at your leisure. from Monday at 7 a.m. through Wednesday at 5 p.m. and you'll just submit them, each one of those before Wednesday at 5 p.m. And all of them together will be 25% of your grade. But the listening and the reading and the speaking are on the topic of the level of, of the Unit 10 topics, emotions, personality, and survival, as it says there. So it will look a lot like what you did before for the Unit 6 tests, just different topics. And then you'll be done a week or two early because, like I said, I think I made a mistake and I ended our class a week early. So I hope you will forgive me if I'm cheating you out of a week of class, but it was an accident. I had nothing else to do.
It's okay, we're glad.
Does anybody have any questions before we start?
No.
Okay, we're quiet today. We have a quiet group. That's fine. We did some reading. We answered questions. It's good to practice your English. Just want to help you practice. Okay, so if you have any questions for me, as usual, just ask me on Remind, and I will be happy to answer you. And I hope to see you on Wednesday, which will be our last regular Zoom class time. So I hope that you all can make it and show me your video so I can see your face one last time.
Don't we have a meeting? Don't we have a meeting next Monday?
Well, Monday, I'm decided that I'm just going to give you your final exams, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I rather, because there's nothing else I need to teach you. So rather than, what else am I going to do? Just take your final exam. If you guys have, I could set up a time where if you have questions or, questions, we could set up a time to meet if you want to ask any questions. Also, with my other class, I'm offering them a once a week conversation club. With my other school, I have some level 1 students and they want to keep practicing English. So we're going to do that once a week. So if you guys are interested in doing a once a week conversation club with our class, or could even join my other class just to practice English, we could do that. So think about that, and I'll ask you about that on Wednesday. Because I don't know, some of you, well, everybody's going to have a month off, right? Because the next classes start in June something.
Yeah, June 9.
Yeah. But of course, for many of you, it's Ramadan, so it might be maybe that you don't want to do anything extra, except eat and cook and sleep, and pray and read your Quran. So it's up to you. Think about that. And on Wednesday, I'll ask you if you want to do like a conversation hour once a week. I can consider doing that with you.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So have a
Pleasure.
good day. Enjoy the weather. It's a nice day again today. So maybe go outside and read your book or something. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, you guys.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.